10:36 a.m. So this is the state stalking and monitoring Euclid Avenue and B Street, Ontario Town Square. And these sirens start the moment that the helicopter that just flew over my head stopped sounding. It is the exact same entity creating monitoring activity under the state's fake sun where I sit here at Ontario Town Square. It is currently, again, 10:36 a.m. They will be on the traffic cameras at Euclid and Holt in relevant position. And again, it's like clockwork. The helicopter that was flying over my head as I'm on camera sitting at Ontario Town Square, as I rise up to, and they're monitoring my communication device so they know that I've turned on my camera and that I'm looking for the helicopter that flew over my head and then flew toward the Wells Fargo area. So I'm searching for it in the sky. I don't see it, but I hear it. The state is creating this amplified audible activity, right? I capture images to document. And the helicopter immediately stops sounding and I do not see it. The sirens immediately stop behind me, which would be at Holt area. I'm at Ontario Town Square, so in front of me is C Street, as in Charlie and Euclid, and behind me is Holt Boulevard, B Street, and this is where the state is remaining in relevant positions, sounding their sirens. And this is also while I'm at the museum. AMR crossing path under the state's fake sun, which is positioned directly over the museum as I'm laying there. They're engaging in P.O.C. They are engaged in the same exact pattern of conduct. That's an amplified plane. So this is the state. That is looks like a mueto, something. It's looks like a silver plane with a blue tail and blue logo on the right side of it as it's flying west directly over Ontario Town Square, creating amplified activity. Understand that is the same thing. Helicopter, sirens, planes. This is the state acting directly, stalking, and creating audible activity for monitoring with communication devices. And the fact that it is happening, you're talking about within 2 minutes, that's the helicopter. As I turn on my podcast, you hear the sirens. As I'm continuing speaking, and less than 90 seconds later, you have the plane. This is federal group stalking and monitoring, okay? That's P.O.C. I just want to speak to what is seen on the traffic cameras and what I captured as well. The state overnight engaging in the same exact stalking conduct, remaining in relevant position, more than one. AMR is seen on the traffic cameras driving north on Euclid Avenue this morning, crossing path and sounding its sirens and lights. About 30 seconds before that, less than 30 seconds before that, you have another vehicle, emergency vehicle that sounded its siren. And I'm not making it plural because it literally went and it stops. It's creating audible activity right next to me. It's amplified. It's right where I'm located. And then 30 seconds later, AMR is driving past, crossing path with me under the state's fake sun and driving north on Euclid Avenue, which is P.O.C. There's more than one actor. The state is literally engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. They are group stalking as the state, meaning you've got more than one vehicle. It's not just one police officer. The state is engaged in group stalking, and the state is engaged in group stalking with the people of the state. It's not an individual that's engaged in this system. They are acting as one group. Third parties and the state directly. Okay, third parties are vicariously acting on behalf of the state. They are literally as engaged in the criminal elements of monitoring, are in the shoes of the government where this criminal system is in operation. And so that's AMR. That's this morning while I am at the museum. And this is already with regard to the state's fake sun. That is a light source, while AMR is creating additional light and the sound of its sirens are amplified as it is crossing path. Those are the criminal elements of monitoring and the ongoing stalking with activity, because that's what they are doing as they are consistently monitoring at the museum, repeatedly sounding their sirens, just as they were all day yesterday as I remain at Ontario Town Square, December 24th, 2020, under the amphitheater on camera, and they're engaged in all day long repeated use of their sirens. Again, this is no emergency. They are using their sirens very briefly while they are loitering in relevant position very close to me at the Ontario Town Square, just alternating with activity. Amplified sound of the train, amplifying the sound of third parties revving their engines. Everything literally sounds like it's on a microphone. Okay, and this is that which they engage in on a daily basis. This is with regard to today, December 25th, where they are loitering at the museum sounding their sirens, and AMR is seen on camera crossing path. And right now, the helicopter flying over my head as I would be seen on the camera. I'm talking on the phone. The state is flying behind me in a plane, then flying over my head in a helicopter, flying in a circle, flying back toward Wells Fargo. As I get off the phone, I seek to capture an image of it. I do not see it, and it stops sounding audibly. And again, the significance of the audible activity is monitoring, because the state is always present. It's present right now in helicopter and planes. This is how they engage in at the drop of a dime, arriving out of the blue and sounding sirens. So it's creating audible activity as it's flying around. And as you seek to capture it on camera, it stops sounding, and the sirens immediately stop. This is when I begin this podcast, which you hear the sirens in the background. And those sirens are not prolonged. It's not an emergency. It's the ongoing P.O.C. of stalking with their presence and stalking with activity and creating audible activity for purposes of monitoring under the state's fake sun. Okay, it's 10:42 a.m., and that's P.O.C. I am at Ontario Town Square. It's December 25th, 2020. I'm sorry, it's December 25th, 2020. It's currently 1:12 p.m. I have captured images and I have captured video that accompany this audio documentation of federal group stalking and monitoring as practiced systematically by a public entity, that is the state, that is the state of California, that is engaged in a monitoring system, monitoring an American citizen with communication devices in concert with the people of that state. That is the system called federal group stalking and monitoring. That is in ceaseless operation at all times, at all places. And the people of the state of California is how a public entity is capable of and able to and relies upon in order to monitor inside of any quote-unquote private residence, any third-party venue, public place, any place of work. This is how monitoring is accomplished. And so my documentation serves to not only expose the ways in which and the tactics, the devices that the public entity uses to monitor. It is also to reveal the nature of the crime of monitoring and the multitude of ways that the target individual is violated, both with regard to their human and constitutional rights, but also sexual violation, which is equally to be respected and acknowledged under federal law, based on the nature of the crime and how monitoring is the physical equivalent of touching, and it is sexual violence because monitoring is group conduct practiced by a public entity. So you have another legal concept new under federal law, which is a public entity that is a sex offender, a perpetual sex offender, acting directly and vicariously through those third parties who are monitoring in concert with that public entity. So I want to go back because what I documented with regard to the state's fake sun, this is already established. I am in the midst of just cataloging. We can go 24 hour by 24 hour, and you note if you recall my documentation, if you are paying attention, the state's fake sun plotted over 150 East Holt Boulevard, both at 9:06 a.m. and again at 2:58 p.m., both aiming at both times, aiming light directly onto me. This is impossible positioning behavior. This is not the actual sun. This is the first element of criminal monitoring, that is light, and it is for purposes of massive monitoring by the state of California. And this is also, which is the conclusive evidence of a public entity engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. Monitoring is reliant upon the use of light, and understand that the state's behavior, everything that I'm documenting with regard to this treatment of light, the behavior with light that the state is engaged in, that third parties are engaged in, is also revealing what is demonic activity. It is also relevant to that, and you understand that. And if you are uncomfortable with the notion of demonic activity, that doesn't make it any less true, but it is interchangeable with the term malicious. It is an entirely deliberate system. They are engaged in entirely deliberate conduct, and it is malicious. It is a malicious system. And so every act, every form of activity that is created, and that is a plane flying over Ontario Town Square, that's P.O.C. Every activity, every form of activity is deliberate activity. There is no idle activity creation. There is no accidental, coincidental activity creation or presence or light activity. It serves that ongoing criminal system, which is in ceaseless operation. And so as of right now, as is the same at 1:03 p.m. when I'm going to recite this current documentation, which again is only a sample of what third parties are doing on a massive scale as the state remains stalking directly by plane, helicopter, police, fire, and ambulance. and vicariously. These are only a sample of third parties who are all monitoring in concert, okay? And it is an obsessive, hovering, paranoid manner of monitoring, which is vicarious stalking. In order to monitor, you have to stalk that targeted individual. The state is a stalker, and the state is acting vicariously through the people of the state of California. So with regard to the legal analysis under federal law, and again, which is in violation of current existing federal law, 18 U.S.C. Section 42A, but also I have written federal legislation to be enforced against a public entity that addresses that which has never been addressed under federal law, and not coincidentally so, because it is the government that's engaged in this criminal system. I do not think that that is just a mishap. I think it is intentional that the government has never been identified as a stalker, as a sex offender, because that is what they are engaged in when you are monitoring an American citizen, which is it is the utmost removal of any form of privacy or personal life, every form of interception of what you have going on in your professional life. It is all a matter of the government, which is unwelcomed into your home, into your work life, into your personal and private life. And so there are a litany of violations that a government is engaged in when they are monitoring you. But with regard to that, I'm just speaking to I.I.S legislation, systematic infliction of inhumane suffering. That is federal legislation that I have written and I advocate and I intend to enforce against the state of California and every documented third-party group stalker engaging in the criminal elements and facilitating the ongoing criminal system of a government intending to and in every way diligently acting to continue engaging while aware that the targeted individual is documenting and aware of that criminal system, that criminal activity, targeting, monitoring with communication devices. Okay, so 1:03 p.m. I want to go over P.O.C. And this is just to speak to that which is occurring on a ceaseless basis, okay? This is December 25th, 2020 at 1:03 p.m. We can actually go back to about 1:01 p.m., where I am in front of the cameras at Ontario Town Square, which is a third-party facilitating venue, meaning even the security guard. There is no exception. This is a state system, and the security guards are engaged in P.O.C. They are engaged in the criminal elements of monitoring. This is why the state is plotting a fake sun directly above the venue. That way, systematic monitoring is capable to continue, and there is no exception from that, and there is no legal excuse or exception under federal law, by the way. You're talking about a government that is relying on the presence of those third parties. This is how the system is in operation. And by the way, wearing a security guard outfit is the outward form, the guise under which a public entity is engaged in public corruption. Public corruption exists in plain sight. So by definition, this is how you monitor an American citizen, where everything is appearing on the outside as though it is ordinary conduct, and it is not. So you're speaking to the environment that the state has established, whereby they are engaged in systematic monitoring, walking their dog, playing with their children, which they are also using to create activity while they are surrounding, and the state is swarming in planes and helicopters and with a fake sun, and stalking with sirens, okay? That is federal group stalking and monitoring. At 1:01 p.m., I do get up and I specifically address the cameras at Ontario Town Square, where I am sitting under the amphitheater, and I am currently, as of right now, at 1:17 p.m. addressing the same security camera that I'm sitting under at Ontario Town Square. This is for purposes of speaking to what it was looking at. Okay, so what you're looking at, what the activity that you are observing on the security camera, which is documentation when you're prosecuting a public entity that belongs to the targeted individual, serves the purposes of prosecuting that public entity. That visible conduct is married to the audible activity. So while you have the third parties that are present in relevant position with their young children, wanting to take family pictures on Christmas Day, they are in alignment. They are in engaging in patrolling conduct. That's the third element that's relevant positioning, which is literally the group stalking. And this is while the state is engaged in literally flying over the same location, flying over me in airplanes and creating impossible light activity. And that is while the state's fake sun is directly over the to my left. You have, yeah, he's monitoring. You have them. This is so. Let me just take a break real quick. These group stalkers, and this is demonic activity. Okay, you're talking about a group of people that are all at one time listening to every single word and every move that I make, every minor move, because they are stalking with activity. This is how you know that. Their conduct is what reveals what they are doing and how they are doing it. And that's demonic, by the way. So but you can say malicious, okay? While you are engaging in this conduct, they are concerned about me looking at them and witnessing their criminal conduct when it is on camera, okay? And not only that, they are already engaging on camera, engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring. They are already prosecuted. It is already done. But this is the futility with which third-party group stalkers and the state that continues to provide a wealth of evidence against itself, okay, continues to engage in this conduct. And I just say that because as I'm documenting, and this third-party group stalker with minor children who was focused on me, using the children as an outward form, the guise under which he is engaging in criminal element number 3, which is stalking vicariously on behalf of the state, while he is creating audible activity via his minor children. This is called criminal facilitation of group stalking and monitoring, while the state is placing its fake son over everything that he is engaged in. Okay, this is federal group stalking and monitoring, and this is how the system works. All right, so this is P.O.C, and I just find it hilarious in a pathetic way, because there's nothing funny about a targeting entity, government monitoring an American citizen, but it is absolutely pathetic as I look and directly look at this third-party group stalker who's patrolling back and forth with his children, holding his cell phone out that he's focused on because he's monitoring, and he puts it away as I look at him, as though my looking at him is going to be I don't have to look at him. There is ongoing documentation all around, and this is how you use the weapons that the state is using. You turn it against that public entity and you prosecute that public entity with it. And so I just wanted to take a break and mention that, because that's what this third party did. He's wearing black pants and a white shirt. He's got a bowl cut, short black hair. He's with 2 minor children, a young boy with a red shirt on and a young girl with long brown hair, pink shorts and a white shirt, purple clogs, if you will, and they're just in relevant position. The state is amplifying the sound of the train. The state's fake son is over the venue. The state is flying. Also the amplified sound of a plane. This is that demonic activity. This is monitoring with communication devices. And this is why the outward appearance of what third-party group stalkers are engaged in is legally irrelevant. This is why. This is exactly why, because the system is maliciously designed for it to be the ongoing conduct of whatever it is that you're engaging in, while the state creates the environment for monitoring. Okay, so this is why you could say, well, I was playing with my children. It legally does not matter. You were engaging while you were playing with your children. Guess what you were also doing? You were in relevant position, meaning you were in alignment. You were patrolling around. You are engaging in creation of audible and visible activity, which is also light activity. While the state's fake son is present and you're moving around, you're also creating light activity. You're engaged in the criminal elements for monitoring with communication devices while you are doing whatever you are doing, which is irrelevant under the legal analysis. And that's how you prosecute a public entity. In addition to that, it is evidenced on surveillance camera. It is evidenced in my plethora of documentation showing not only what this third party is doing, but what all third parties are doing. Okay, this is not one acting alone. He represents the group. Third parties are one single group acting in unison. Just like I demonstrated on my documentation that I published on Facebook when I'm speaking to at B&G Plaza, and I am speaking to that which is a rhythm, an ongoing in sync creation of activity and presence. That's demonic activity, by the way. It is also monitoring conduct. As every move that I make, even inside of the venue at Shiro's Liquor, they are entering the store, creating audible activity and crossing paths, patrolling as one group inside of the venue, while the state is flying over the liquor store in planes. Okay, this is federal group stalking and monitoring. That's how that works. While I'm sitting at the bus stop, at the Omnitrans bus stop on Holt Boulevard, Ontario Police crossing path, the Ontario Fire Department crossing path at Sultana, sounding its sirens for 2 seconds as it turns the corner in alignment to me under the same factual circumstances, creating audible activity, while third-party group stalkers in a large group in that plaza, on Transit, on Hope Boulevard, on Plum, on Sultana, on Euclid Avenue, the entire area engaged in monitoring while they are swarming. And specifically what I pointed out was the ongoing rhythmic conduct. They are literally stalking with their activity creation. And again, activity is the term of art when you're prosecuting federal group stalking and monitoring. They're just making noise. So how are they making noise? They're literally sitting in their vehicles or waiting outside of their vehicles to make their noise, using their car alarms, sounding their cars by slamming their doors, their trunks, driving past and stopping in front of me at the bus stop in the red where it's no stopping at any time, even including a third-party group stalker aware of my documentation, engaging in doing what is the same thing, stopping on the opposite side of the street in alignment to me as the state is flying over. This is ongoing, intentional, it's demonic, and it is entirely malicious. You can put that in parentheses, it's the same thing. These are group stalkers. This is the state, this is the entity acting vicariously, aware of my documentation, and engaged in intentional presence while the state is creating an ongoing environment. While they are creating this ongoing rhythm, meaning literally stalking with activity, every move I make, you're hearing noise, and they're all acting in that conduct together while they're just present, sitting around in their cars, sitting in the drive-through, okay, entering and exiting the plaza that's crossing path, that's patrolling as a group, while the state is amplifying the sound of the train, the state is sounding sirens, the state is crossing path, the state is crossing path by vehicle and by airplane, okay? That's federal group stalking and monitoring. That is the P.O.C. All right, this is what the state of California is engaged in, and it is entirely demonic. That is a satanic system underway. And so if you are uncomfortable with that, I am exposing the reality of it, regardless of that, in a prosecution in a court of law based on objective facts, which you are able to produce, which are tangible, and this case is already established. I am speaking to and literally breaking down in layman's terms what a government is engaged in and how it is engaged in it and how it is able to do so at all times, and that is through the people who are all around engaging in this highly peculiar behavioral pattern altogether. Okay, that's the demonic. It is also monitoring. All right, it serves the purposes of the state's criminal system, and the state's conduct also prefaces everything that third parties are engaged in all around me. And so with regard to that, again, I want to focus on 1:01 p.m. This is a snippet. This is just a single episode, an example of what is going on a constant basis everywhere I go. But currently I am at Ontario Town Square where they are monitoring, and they are monitoring in concert and on behalf of the entity that has already this morning flown directly over my head in a circle in a helicopter, followed immediately by sirens as I start documenting, which I captured on audio. I also captured it on this audio, and also crossing path in those emergency vehicles at Holt and Euclid as they listen to me begin documentation of that stalking and monitoring conduct. While the state's fake sun, again, that was at around 10 something in the morning, 10:48 in the morning. It is 1 something, and what I've captured is the state's fake sun at this hour is still present at this venue. Okay, this is federal group stalking and monitoring. Criminal elements 1, light. Criminal elements 2, activity, visible, audible, sensational. Criminal element 3, relevant positioning, and that is the literal stalking by group presence. That is merely being present. That is perpetual presence by the group. Different faces engaging in the same element of being in relevant position, being in the path of the targeted individual. That is group stalking. It is federal group stalking because it is in violation of federal law. They're using communication devices, which are means of interstate commerce, in addition to the fact that they're using planes and helicopters and trains and cars and trucks, the streets, the freeways, the internet. And in addition to that, they're engaging in the violation of the targeted individual's right, the access to courts, the fundamental right, the constitutional First Amendment freedom of speech right to prosecute that targeting entity that is engaged in monitoring them, and that is called criminal obstruction. It is inherent to the pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring, and this is also what I am documenting and exposing with regard to a public entity and how you prosecute it, which again is specifically addressed under I.I.S. legislation. So with regard to, okay, again, I'm going to go back to 1:01 p.m. P.O.C. at 1:01 p.m. after I am doing my nails on camera, and I just engage in letting the camera witness what is P.O.C. using children, using what is the outward appearance of taking pictures on Christmas morning with their little ones, while the state is flying over at the same time by airplane. The state's fake sun is right here to my left under the amphitheater where I'm sitting, and also while the state is flying over with their presence and they are creating noise in my immediate presence, as the state flies over impossible light activity, which is a literal shadow rapidly moving across on the ground as they are present, taking their family pictures and having their children children come around under the amphitheater and create loud, rambunctious noise. That is the P.O.C, all three elements right there. You also see the security guard who crosses path at the same time while the state is flying over, creating this light activity while the state's fake sun is plotted over the venue as well. This is an example of what occurred. I get up and I address this on camera. I also get up, I turn on my phone. Okay, this is literally heightening the attention of the state that is monitoring via communication devices, and also monitoring my communication devices and my use of it, creating activity for that purpose to monitor. And so this is literal criminal activity that I capture even as I document it. Because they're monitoring my communication devices, they create activity because you have to in order to monitor. And so as I document, I'm also in real time, and that's what I have called it. It is real time documentation of criminal activity. It is literal federal group stalking monitoring in real time as I continuously document it. I just got up to get a couple of license plates. Those who are walking to their car, they're captured they've been on camera the entire time monitoring. They walk to their car because they are the specific example that I was using as I was addressing the security camera at Ontario Town Square, and also sitting in their vehicles while the state is flying over, sitting right under the state's fake sun, and also remaining in relevant position on the opposite side in the parking lot on B Street and Lemon. The parking area is specifically on Lemon. The state's fake sun is right over here on B Street, directly above B Street, and that is to my left as I'm sitting under the amphitheater. This is license plate 8 Frank Thomas Paul 162, 6 Thomas Xavier Zebra 337, 7 Larry Paul Larry 136, and as I begin, like I'm stating, because they are monitoring, even as I document, they begin sounding sirens as I begin writing down the license plates, which I also indicate to the security cameras, specifically the one on Lemon, the two on Lemon, and this is a simultaneous reaction to my getting up and moving. And this is also the behavioral pattern that's called stalking with activity, meaning following my movement, my activity with audible activity, that the state is stalking in all manner. And not only is it stalking with light, it is stalking by activity, meaning following, punctuating everything, every move I make, every activity I engage in, any gesture, any new movement is punctuate, even as minor as moving a baby toe in your shoe. This is the hovering, paranoid, psychopath conduct that the state is engaged in, and third parties engaged in the identical behavioral pattern. Okay, and this is, in addition to that, stalking by entity. That is literally stalking physically. Okay, the state is stalking in all manner. Okay, which is satanic, and it is an entirely malicious system. So as I get up to write down these license plates, AMR ambulance immediately sounds their sirens in close. They're already in close proximity, not only because they are engaged in stalking, remaining in relevant position, but because the state is also amplifying that audible activity, right? And amplification serves the purposes of massive monitoring with communication devices. Stalking with light, stalking with a fake sun, for example, serves the purposes of massive monitoring with communication devices. And this is occurring as I engage in movement, and I'm writing down these specific license plates, and I'm taking pictures of the third parties who are surrounding a relevant position at the Christmas tree with their children, in alignment to me, sitting on the bench, patrolling back and forth on his cell phone. The male that is sitting on the opposite side of 204 North Euclid Avenue, he's sitting on a bench where the state's fake sun would be to his left, and he is creating ongoing audible activity, and he is patrolling back and forth, sitting on the bench, getting up and walking back and forth. He's monitoring where the state is flying over, creating impossible light activity, where the state has plotted its fake sun directly over, where the state is stalking with sirens, as I get up and move and document that. Okay, so this is P.O.C, and this is 1:03 p.m. I am engaged in ongoing presence at Ontario Town Square. This is P.O.C headquarters. They are monitoring because I am here. The state is using traffic. Understand every third party crossing path on Euclid Avenue is crossing path, and as a group. They're not acting individually. So you have third parties that are systematically crossing path in their cars. That's called patrolling. You're crossing path repeatedly over and over and over and over again in both directions. And if you look at the big picture, okay, if you look at if you can separate the trees from the forest, look at the forest, what you're looking at is a literal pacing back and forth by that public entity that's acting vicariously through those third parties. The state is literally pacing back and forth vicariously through third parties who are patrolling in traffic, driving north and south on Euclid Avenue, driving north and south on Lemon behind me, driving east and west on Hope Boulevard, driving east and west on C Street, driving east and west on B Street, driving east and west on D Street. Okay, they're monitoring with communication devices. This spans to a radius, and this is the state engaging in that same pacing conduct using their emergency vehicles. AMR literally drives up and down the street sounding sirens all day. Okay, that is the psychopath that I'm documenting, right? The state engages in the same conduct using the police and the fire vehicles. The state engages in the same PACIC, which is the demonic relevant positioning conduct. It is monitoring conduct, and it is also that of a psychopath. It's demonic activity, which you can see if you look at it clearly. You're looking at the same thing. If you were to see a person that's just in front of you, just walking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and that person is a disturbed individual, okay? First of all, you would say, that's really weird. What are you doing? Okay, that person is monitoring you, first of all. With additional facts. I'm just breaking it down in simplest terms. This person is monitoring you, and in addition to that, that is the demonic conduct. It is highly peculiar, is that of a psychopath that is literally surrounding you in order to keep you surrounded with for purposes of monitoring. And it is not only is a criminal monitoring conduct, it is demonic. It is that of a psychopath, okay? And this is how the state is acting, all right? And this is while I remain here at Ontario Town Square. And they engage in that noise in the background. That's called stalking conduct. As I lift up my arm, they engage in creating noise. This is what I mean by demonic activity. It is entirely demonic, and it is malicious while they are with their little babies, which are a means of criminal facilitation, where they are entirely engaged in monitoring with the state. And everything about the environment is what proves that. Right, and this is also why you're speaking to getting past what the state relies on, which is outward form, the appearance of the thing, rather than the substance of the thing. Okay, this is how you prosecute a public entity, because it is relying on the little babies. It's relying on the job uniform. It's relying on the activity, the outward activity that you appear to be engaged in and focused on. It's relying on that. It's relying on the assumption of legitimacy based on your title, your name, or your age, or your race. It's relying on that. Okay, this is what the system is relying upon. This is how federal group stalking and monitoring exists. And I want to get those license plates because they are monitoring. License plate 8 Frank Jack 013. License plate, we've got a white van sitting in relevant position. Stops as I get up. This is not coincidental. What's the form? That she's waiting for this dude to move, and this is the security guard. 8 Mary, open Uncle 182. All right, and those are just a sample. Those are just the ones that are sitting in their car that I see. They are all engaged in monitoring together. The state's fake sun is literally, I'm referencing the security cameras, in alignment to me where I'm standing in front of this the security guard's car. The state's fake sun is right here over the amphitheater in alignment to that. All right, that's P.O.C. It is currently 1:38 p.m. P.O.C. is ceaseless. It does not stop. And the criminal elements of monitoring are always in existence. And while I remain here on the security cameras, the state is present, engaging in ongoing ceaseless monitoring, and this is how it does so. You're not seeing police officers who are patrolling back and forth, taking pictures under the Christmas tree, and standing in front of me making loud noise while they are surrounding in planes and crossing paths. They're acting through the communication devices that surround me in the immediate environment. All right, it's criminal partnership, it's criminal teamwork. And this is the same behavioral pattern everywhere that I go. And the impossible light activity of a fake sun, the impossible light activity of the light movement, the light behavior all around in this environment is speaking to that which is monitoring and that which is demonic. While they are outwardly relying upon the appearance of walking their dog and exercising, doing yoga, playing with their kids, all of which is legally irrelevant under the under federal law, which is designed to prosecute a public entity engaged in this very criminal system. All right, it is 1:40 p.m. I'm at Ontario Town Square, and that is the P.O.C. All right, December 25th, 2020, I just captured more video, and again, the same stalker, that is AMR ambulance, providing, again, the criminal conduct is egregious, and it is that of a psychopath engaged in an obsessive stalking conduct in an emergency vehicle. That is AMR ambulance. As I captured this video again of the state's fake sun that has remained present, aiming light and on the same venue in the same direction, and I'm capturing the third parties that are all loitering in relevant position under the state's fake sun. You see the shadow activity. This is monitoring conduct as the state places this light on this venue and it remains planted here. And as I capture that video, the same monitoring conduct with the sirens by AMR, which are amplified, and AMR crosses path, which I capture on video, driving north on Euclid Avenue, much the same that it did earlier in the video that I captured, the audio that I captured, the same exact criminal conduct that I am capturing in real time. This is the value and the beauty of documentation and understanding the stalker that is not an individual, it is a public entity. And this is the system called Federal Group Stalking Monitoring, where they are monitoring with communication devices. And it is also entirely a satanic system. Every criminal element that is light, activity, and relevant positioning, which is literally the element of the stalking. The people of the state of California are stalking vicariously on behalf of that public entity, engaged in intentional, malicious presence. Fully engaged in the criminal elements with the intent to monitor with that public entity. It is the absence of coincidence whereby they are constantly present and with simultaneity to my movement and my activity or any change thereof, creating activity, being present in the path, creating any visible and audible activity. That is the pattern of conduct, and it is demonic as well. This is the system that the state of California is engaged in. The state of California is a public entity engaging in this system, and I am currently at Ontario Town Square, where I am engaging in documenting, and they are providing documentation themselves as they are on surveillance camera and engaging in all manner of presence, because that's what it is, with communication devices, as the state is stalking via aircraft, stalking via sirens, and stalking with light, with its fake sun remaining over this same venue. It is currently 3:56 p.m. and that's what I captured the video of, and this is that which is accompanied by images and video, which I will surely publish, not only for the exposure of the Satanism that is the state of California's federal system in concert with the people of the state. So this is, I mean, the implications of that, you take that for what you want, but you have the state of California that is the public entity, the government, and the people of the state of California are when the state is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, the people are that entity, because it is vicariously acting on behalf of that entity to monitor. And so literally the people are engaged in a criminal contract, if you will, monitoring together in the shoes of the government, stalking on behalf of that government that is stalking because it's monitoring you, present on behalf of that government. That's what that presence is. Presence is stalking. All right, and activity is monitoring conduct, stalking and creating activity, which is monitoring. It is engagement in the criminal elements of monitoring. It is facilitation of the public entities' ongoing criminal system of monitoring. And that's what California is engaged in. And in addition to that, Ontario Police crossing path, driving north on Euclid Avenue. As you hear the amplified sound of the train in the background, the state is amplifying that activity. That means turning up the volume while they surround in front of me. This is group stalking and monitoring. Security guard opening and closing the door as he's patrolling around under the state's fake sun. Those are the elements of group stalking. Okay, that's the state present directly. That's the state indicating its direct presence with its fake sun. All right, and this is the state acting vicariously present in the path, which is how it monitors. This is how the state is capable of monitoring 24 hours a day inside of any residence, inside of any public place, inside of any business place. This is how the state does it, through the people who are around at all times, and the state creating that environment for purposes of that criminal system, amplification of all sound, and the ongoing presence of light, even in the most extreme and psychopath conduct, such as a fake sun, and that is that which is born of nothing but a psychopath. Okay, engaging in a behavioral pattern identical to those acting with it, that is the people of the state of California. All right, under that which is an abject fail, I am showing how not only is it irrelevant what they appear to be engaged in, and understand this is the malice, this is the demonic activity, engaging in an egregious criminal system while they are outwardly appearing with children, taking Christmas pictures in relevant position, while all manner of demonic activity, the environment, it's what surrounds. Right? That is the malice, and this is what I said. You can interchange that word if you're not comfortable with the term demonic activity, because that's what it is. It is satanic. If you're not comfortable with that, you can supplement that with malicious, because that is what they are engaged in. It is demonic activity, which is maliciously engaged in, and this is how public corruption exists. It exists in plain sight. So you are stripping down what the outward form appears as, the guise under which they are engaging in this criminal system together. That is the state and third parties together in concert. You're stripping that down, and you are looking at the substance of the elements of monitoring, which is how a public entity is capable of engaging in ceaseless monitoring. The people are acting in concert with it, and this is at every place at all times. It is absolutely unhindered. Constructions and buildings and ceilings and walls are no obstruction whatsoever to technology. They are monitoring with communication devices in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 42A, which is a means of interstate commerce. And in California specifically, communication devices, i.e. cell phones, are exceedingly, I mean, they have become, and necessarily so, intentionally so, necessary in order to even survive. And I believe that that is also intentional with regard to California's engagement in this criminal system, which has never been addressed by federal legislation, never actually been construed and broken down such that the ordinary person can understand how monitoring is conducted, and it is not a stalking system by some individual, by one person. The stalker is the state, the stalker is a public entity, and the stalker is vicariously acting through individuals who are not acting unilaterally. They are acting as a single unified group. They engage in concerted, in sync conduct, okay, which is also demonic activity. So there's a duality there, which is, I'm exposing both of it. Every element of monitoring has a satanic root. And so with regard to P.O.C, I just wanted to speak to that. That's what I just captured, which was video of the state's fake sun plotted over this venue. And that is less than 10 minutes ago, it remaining over the Ontario Town Square, not moving whatsoever, and aiming light in the same direction, creating all manner of light activity while they remain present. This is P.O.C that I'm using the security cameras to reference, while the security guard talking to both third-party group stalkers in relevant position, creating activity. The clock is audible activity. They're all in relevant position. This is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is 4:01 p.m. and that is the P.O.C. All right, let me get this license plate. This is 6 Frank Yogurt Sam 144. 7 Yogurt Victor Mary 936. 8 Mary Open Robert 728. 89813 Victor 1. LA1 Charlie Sam 80. P.O.C. Light activity, loitering in relevant position. State is consistently stalking, flying over via aircraft. Third parties are loitering at the Ontario Town Square and in the parking lot. And the state is engaging in also directing impossible light activity, which I am using the cameras on the venue as it's occurring. The state is literally pointing light on my purse moving around, which is being directed coming from, I'm under the amphitheater still, so I am facing south. And light is coming from the, that would be shooting in the direction south onto my bag. And I am facing west, forgive me. I'm facing west under the amphitheater. Light is shooting south. And this is another plane. So this is confirmation of that, which I just documented on behalf of the third parties who are vicariously stalking on behalf of this entity that is flying over right now. All of these little children that are running around, they are audible activity. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:28 p.m. That is the plane flying directly over the amphitheater. This is the pattern. This is what the state has been doing all day, including siren activity. I'm going to go ahead and take an image of this right now at 6:28 p.m. All right, and that's P.O.C. at Ontario Town Square. It's been ceaselessly underway. I'm just doing documentation, doing my due diligence, showing that the state is a seriously paranoid, hovering, demented psychopath stalker. And not funny. I'm just searching for the words where one could feasibly understand the level of stalking that a public entity is engaged in, and understandably So when you have literally commissioned the people of the state to engage in that stalking presence with you, and every single last one of them are engaged in open stalking conduct because this system relies on the fact that they are able to, or presumably they think that they are, able to be around openly and engaging in criminal activity, because that's what they're doing. And this is what federal legislation is going to demolish in federal court. And it is unprecedented legislation. It's unprecedented that a public entity is prosecuted as a sex offender, which California is, when you are engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, and every third party vicariously acting on behalf of that. Everything they say and do while engaging in the P.O.C, they are not doing it merely as a third party. They are in the shoes of the government. The government has literally given them this unlawful position, and it is a criminal contract, if you will, because they are acting as the state. They are present on behalf of this entity that is monitoring you, and that is why it is stalking as they are present. That is the legal analysis with regard to a public entity that is monitoring an American citizen, and doing so through the presence of the people of the state that surround that targeted individual at all times, in addition to the stalking presence of that public entity directly via plane, helicopter, police, fire, and ambulance. It's currently 6:30 p.m. And that is the P.O.C. P.O.C. ceaselessly underway. It's 6:30 p.m., so I thought I'd add in a little bit more. Erica Lorraine Spencer, that's the P.O.C.